Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's virtual coffee morning hosted by the Local Enterprise Office in Kildare. My name is Michael Keogh from the Entrepreneurs Academy, and we'll get things started by introducing John Mulcahy from the Local Enterprise Office in Kildare, who wants to say a few words to us before we get started. So over to you, John. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome on to the coffee break series this week, and we're delighted to be running the networking event again, and I hope that you do all find it very useful. I'm very excited to introduce Alana Kirk for this week. So Alana is a coach, a speaker, copywriter, author, and running two businesses as well, as the midlife coach. So very excited to hear Alana's insight into money matters for entrepreneurs, and I hope that you do find today, as I said, useful. You can ask any questions in the chat box, and we'll try and get through any questions that you do have from that perspective. In terms of the local enterprise office and supports that we would have, I'd just like to make you aware that we are here to support you in any way that we can. Through networking events like this one, and through other supports that we do have as well. So I would encourage you to check on our website and to see our details on our social media platforms and on our newsletter, and you can get updates on different supports that we do have. In particular, I suppose, maybe if in terms of supports and programs we have coming up, now I'll share these in the chat box as well, but just so people are aware that we do have writing a business plan for funding applications coming up, which might be of interest to some clients. If you're looking at financial assistance, whether it's through the local enterprise office or whether through a different organization, that could be useful for you. And also, you might be interested in the bookkeeping and taxation program, which I'll share as well on the chat box there. So without further ado, I think I'll pass over to Michael and Alana to go through this week. As I said, I'm very excited about Alana's guest speaking this week, and it'll be very, very interesting for everybody. So thank you.
So thanks a million, John. Just to remind everyone that at the end of the conversation, we'll be having 2 rounds of networking in the breakout room. So if you have time to stick around for those, you're very, very welcome. We'd love to have lots of networking and connections happening in those breakout rooms a little bit later on. So let's start off by talking to Alana. First of all, Alana, hi, good morning, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is really lovely. Nice way to start the week. Isn't
it just fantastic? So tell us a little bit about yourself, Alana. How did you get to be the guru that you are?
Oh God. Well, I suppose my career has taken a trajectory in many ways, but I was recently talking to a TY year at school, and I was trying to give them sort of advice. And when I realized that actually, despite lots of movement in my career, it's all really been about one thing, and that's about helping people, I suppose, tell their story or communicate better with themselves. So I was Deputy Director of UNICEF Ireland for many years and had the fortune to work in Iraq and Sierra Leone and countries like that. And then I was Director of Fundraising Communications at Barnardo's for many years. And then when I started a family, I stepped back from that and worked as a consultant and a freelancer for the last 10-15 years. So I actually have 2 businesses. I have Making Words Work, which is my copywriting business, and I still do a lot of work for the nonprofit sector doing campaign copy and that kind of thing. And then I also practice as the midlife coach, so I'm a life and leadership coach as well. And again, it's really about helping people figure out where they are and help them write their own story in many ways. And mindset, anyone who's thinking that this talk on money mindset is about sort of budgeting and bookkeeping, it's not. It goes much deeper than that. It's actually our attitude and relationship to money and how that affects our behavior and confidence around money. So it's all juicy, good stuff. I love this. It's all about our belief systems and our habits and the way that we practice. And then hopefully if we get time at the end, I'll talk a little bit about pricing and pitching and stuff, because I know that that's something that's hugely, I did a webinar actually for the Women in Business Network for Dublin, Leo, and another network. And I know that that's a huge issue for a lot of people, confidence around pricing.
So you're talking about money and mindset. As mindset, it goes back, it's ingrained into who we are. So you might talk a little bit about our history, the history of our relationship with money as well. So you might just start off by telling us a little bit about that.
Sure. So there are sort of three things that feed into our money mindset: our sort of historical aspect of it, our experience of money, and our then relationship to money. And that feeds into both our personal finance as well as our business goals. So, for example, women would have a slightly different historical relationship to money than men, because, over the last 3,000 years, it's only really been in the last 100 years that women have been allowed near the stuff, lest their hysterical tendencies broke the controls. So, and even within our lifetime, in this country, up until 1973, women had to give up work. In 1976, until 1976, women weren't allowed to own their own home in their own name. And while that doesn't affect us directly today, there is a legacy there. So that historical, cultural background all forms into a sort of very, filters into the mindset, and that then leads into your experience. So everyone has an experience of money from their own homes and growing up, and how your parents talked about money, used money, how the culture spoke around money. So for example, I grew up with a scarcity mindset around money, because my parents always talked, they're post-war parents, they talked about, we can never afford, that's too expensive, everything felt scarce. Yet when I was older and did this work myself, and I look back, we lived in a lovely detached house. We had 2 cars. Admittedly, they broke down a lot, but my friend. So I made holidays and things. But it was there was a scarcity mindset around the language, so that has an impact. So also whether your father had control of the money, or whether your parents had equal discussions around money, all of that will feed into your mindset around money. And then our experiences today also still have an impact. So a lot of us will have experience of the recessions and the booms, and that feeds into whether that's fear or confidence around money. Women in this country still have a pay gap of about 14%. There's still a pension gender gap of 35%. And more women than men live in poverty after 70. So those experiences all feed into our mindset. And then the final part is that sort of relationship with it, and how confident or not confident we are. So, and I'm being general here, but it is a general statement. On the whole, and research proves this, men tend to be able to completely separate their own self-worth from the worth of their output. So their jobs output or their business output, completely separate, whereas women tend to fuzz the two. And that's, so that's why women in particular have less confidence around asking for pay rises, pitching pricing, because they're mixing up their self-worth with their economic output. And that, again, there's a historical legacy there of women's work on the whole being either unpaid, underpaid, undervalued, all that kind of stuff. So taking all that into account, there's nothing we can do an awful lot about our experience or the sort of historical aspect, but it's really about just taking a moment to understand, what is my relationship with money? What was the relationship with money I had growing up? What my family situation? Were we comfortable around money? Did we think it was there? Was it accessible? Was it always something that had to be hard fought for? Was there stress around money? And just, process that a little bit to understand how that might impact you. And what are my experiences with money? So my first experiences with money, like many people, but of course I didn't put it in context at the time, was as an impoverished student, constantly afraid to put my card in the machine in case I couldn't get my pizza on the way home from the club. But so my first experiences as an adult with money was, again, quite stressful. So it was only in later years, and I'm going to go through this process now of how we look at our mindset, that I was able to go back and go, actually, I've been very good with money, but I had a belief system that I'm not good with money because of my early on experiences and things. So it's really important to just have a look and see, what is your relationship with money? What are your experiences of money, especially early on? What was the language around money? And just, are you somebody that's comfortable, confident, bit scared, rather not look at the bank balance, and just understanding who and what your relationship to money is.
It's funny you say that, because I would have grown up in a very similar circumstance to yourself, with the detached house, the 2 cars and so on, but also thinking that this is a very, very scarce resource.
Yeah.
And my student days again was terror, putting the card into the machine and so on and so forth. So I can understand exactly where you're coming from. And I know one thing that did strike me personally is when I was kind of going through my 20s like that, I was always worried about money. But then I kind of realized when I was doing adult things like getting mortgages and stuff, I kind of realized, hang on a second, I can actually do this. So there was a big sort of light bulb moment for me where I realized I wasn't living in, abject poverty. I wasn't exactly rolling it in, but I could make stuff happen financially. So that was a big light bulb moment for me.
Yeah. And I think that real understanding the separation between how we think about money and how we're experiencing money. So, and I know people who have loads of money, but money is always a drama.
Yeah.
And people who don't have enough money, but they're just in control because they face, so mindset has very little to do with how much you have and how you actually approach it.
So with that in mind, because it is a sort of a learning process and it's an understanding process as much as an accounting process. So with that kind of understanding, you have your 5 wonderful B's about money. So you might just talk us through those.
Yeah. So the money mindset cycle. And listen, if anybody wants to go into detail with this, either email me afterwards or on my website, The Midlife Coach, I have a workbook, which is the money mindset. And it takes everybody through this, and there's exercises and things for you to do and stuff. So if it all gets a bit too scribbly notes today. So there's what I call the 5 B's. It's around beliefs, bold specifics, bountiful habits, bolstering actions, and being open to money. And I suppose the most important one is beliefs. And I mean, it's the most important thing in anything, whether it's you're doing money, fitness, trying to lose weight, starting a business, relationships. Your belief system is the most important thing to hack. If your beliefs are taking you down the wrong road, it's much harder to get back on top of stuff. So, and again, your beliefs will come from historical, from family, society, from your early on experiences. And it's amazing how we are able to just take a thought, take a belief, and then live with it for decades without ever challenging it. And a big part of coaching is about identifying when people have these I call them self-limiting beliefs, and then we unpack them. And it's, so for example, I would have had a belief for years, I'm not good with money. And then when I did all this work myself years ago, I realized that, so what I would ask people to do with beliefs is, first of all, look for the source. Where did that belief come from? It might be a teacher, it might be a parent, it might be a first experience. Where and how did you form that belief? And then the most important thing then is to look for proof. So when I actually sat down and looked for the proof that I'm not good for money, there was none. I bought a house, I had a car, I did everything, I'd never always paid my bills. I'd gone traveling around the world twice and saved for that and all the kind of stuff. So, but it was a complete belief that I wasn't good with it. And therefore I had no confidence. So I was able to change my belief from I'm no good with money to I'm not as confident about money as I feel I want to be. So what can I do? It immediately puts you in a space of power because now you've got something you can do about it. So looking at your beliefs is really important, and I do this, I'm in lots of different networks, it could be a belief around, oh, I can't charge this much because I work at my kitchen table, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're working from home. Now, in the last year, we're all working from our kitchen tables, which is great because now you've proved that actually you can be more productive working at your kitchen table. But prior to that, you could have felt, oh God, I'm sitting, I went from being deputy director of UNICEF and director of fundraising and communications at Bernardo's, big jobs, big offices, loads of team, to literally working at my kitchen table. And that feeling that, oh God, I don't have the letterhead and I don't have the, so little beliefs like that can completely affect how you will go into pricing and how you'll go into pitching and stuff. I'm not good enough is imposter syndrome. A lot of people suffer from. And again, with all those beliefs, just catch yourself. Your beliefs will usually start with things like, I can't, I don't, I'm not, that's for other people. And actually, again, if you want to do more work in this, because this will be for everything in your life. I have a workbook on my website as well, Shattering Self-Limiting Beliefs, and takes you through the whole process, because it is, to me, it's probably one of the most fundamental things. If you learn to start catching and then challenging your beliefs. I have to have chocolate with every cup of tea. I'm not a marathon runner. I can't sea swim. These were some of mine. and then you challenge them, and some of your beliefs will still work for you. Some of them will serve you. But I often talk, when I talk with my coaching clients, is who are the voices in your head? Because we all have tons of voices in our head. Doesn't mean we're mad. We have beliefs in our head which aren't even ours. We've taken them on from somebody else. We've taken them on from an overwhelmed parent who lashed out and said the wrong thing. We've taken them from somebody at school, and we've never stopped to query the source. Does it serve me? Is it right? Is there any proof of it? Yet we can carry our lives on with these beliefs all the way through. So looking at your beliefs around money, catching yourself, a big one and this was one that affected me, and actually in my women's network, Leo Women in Business Network, this comes up a lot. What are your fears around being too successful?
Imposter syndrome, as you mentioned already.
Well, it's not even that. So for me, I started understanding, and I had this thing, oh God, and it was a fear that if I got too busy, I would be overwhelmed. I couldn't cope. So it's even understanding, if that's a fear, okay, what can I do? What point do I bring in a VA, or what point do I put up my prices and do less work, or whatever it might be, and we'll do pricing at the end.
Well, so how can you, if you mentioned your beliefs there, how can we transition those beliefs and the baggage, if you like, and not some of the baggage is good baggage, but not always.
Yeah.
How can we translate that baggage into more specific things then, and to more deliverables?
So exactly. So, and some of your beliefs will be positive. So separate to the other belief, I would have had a belief that, do you know what, everything will be all right. And that's allowed me to be a freelancer. That's allowed me to have that insecurity. Whereas somebody maybe had a belief that, oh God, I could only function if I have, and maybe that is the right belief for them. So there's three real ways. So you look for the source, you look for proof, and then you try and replace it with a more supportive belief. And you can there's sort of three ways of doing that. You can either go straight from I can't to I can, because you've identified that actually that belief just isn't right and wasn't serving me. Or you might need a bridge. So I'm no good with money, to I'm lacking in confidence about money, so I'm going to try and I'm going to go and do some workshops on budgeting. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, to I can manage my money well. So you might need a bridge. Or it's a gradual change of beliefs, and it's taking little steps at a time. And I'm going to go into habits and stuff in a minute. So, but the most important thing really is just to listen to the voices in your head, and don't accept that they're all right.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Sorry, did you want to ask me something?
No, just there. It's just thinking in terms of now moving it on to kind of the budgets and the targets you mentioned in your more bold specifics and so on.
This is really important. And actually, I really like to link personal and business, because having really clear, so bold specifics is really getting down and dirty and understanding what you need to earn, how much you need to earn, why you're earning it, putting real vision on your money, as opposed to a very separate entity of here's my business and here's my life, and there's sort of a big space in the middle. So one of the most important things is really and I'm really speeding through this, but defining what is your definition of success, understanding what success looks and feels like for you and your life. And especially, well, maybe not always, but especially with women, I think we can be pulled into taking a sort of much more male version of success. I'll give you a very quick example of Andrea Horan, who runs Tropical Popical, which is a sort of famous funky nail bar in Dublin. And she was very senior in marketing. She was very good at what she did. And then her father died, and she was very shocked. So she took a year off and went traveling with her sister. And during that year, she decided, I don't want to go back to that job. I don't want to go back to that just treadmill all the time. I want a job or a business where I can travel 3 months of the year, but also be creative and do loads of stuff. Long story short, she set up Tropical Popical, became very successful. And then one day, Saoirse Ronan was in getting her nails done when she got the Oscar nod. So she texted from Tropical Popical to say, I'm in Tropical Popical, get my nails done. And it all blew up. And who wears Tropical Popical? What's that? And the next thing, Saoirse Ronan was on the Ellen show talking about Tropical Popical. So Andrea then gets all of these offers. Oh, you need to make it bigger in Dublin. Oh, open one in Cork and Limerick. In fact, you need to open one in LA and New York. But she was so clear what her definition of success was. She said, no, to all of that, because yes, you'd be successful in somebody else's terms, but you'd be working 24/7 and have no life. So she wanted to go traveling 3 months a year and use her platform. And she was very vocal in the abortion referendum. She's very vocal now in keeping old buildings in Dublin. She has a platform. She's just on the first nail bar exhibition in the National Art Gallery. So so she was so clear what her definition of success for her business was, that she didn't get sidetracked. So, for example, my definition of success is that I can work really hard during term time and work less when my kids are off on holidays. That's the definition of success for me. Plus, I get to go on holiday once a year, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, be really specific about what your success looks like. And actually, a lot of people don't do that. They don't link. What do I want my life to look and feel like? They just go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Here's what I'm supposed to raise. And then you wake up and go, where'd the last 10 years go? You know, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then I talk about having 3 budget levels. This is your personal budget levels, and then they link to your goals. So what is your required budget? What do you need to earn every month through your business to pay all the bills and keep the dogs from the, no, what's the phrase?
Wolves from the door.
Wolves from the door. Then you have a preferred budget. And the preferred budget is everything in required plus some extras. That might be, plus I'll get a cleaner and have a holiday. And then you have a third, which is your ideal budget. And that is the next step up. So you're very clear what your 3 budgets are, your required, your ideal, and your preferred. And then you start linking your budgets, your business goals to those. So you're able to go, well, I need more clients. Well, that's not specific. Do you need 3 new clients, 5 new clients, 10 new clients? How much are those clients going to bring in? And what's it going to cost you? And I'll go back to your definition of success. So I do in the webinar, I do this little exercise where I say to everybody, somebody has a gun to your head and tells you have to earn $1 million in the next year. What would you do? Well, the chances are everyone would do it. If I had a gun to my head, I'd move all my kids into my bedroom and rent out 3 bedrooms, sell the car, take 4 jobs, do whatever I had to do, right? Mm-hmm. So we could all earn $1 million if we had to. The point is, what's it going to cost you for your life? So it's that definition of success is finding where's the level where you want to live and earn, and then matching those 3 in. Be as specific as you can about your budgets. Be as specific as you can about how you want to live your life. And then, so I have 5 W's. It's all 5 W's and 5 B's. You know, what do you want and why do you want it? When do you need it? Like looking at the flow of your life. So for example, because I work less in the summer, I still work, but I work a bit less. I've less money coming in September because I have an invoice, and so we're looking at the flow of your life, flow of your business. Why do you need it? Are you doing it for your preferred? So what happens when you've got your preferred budget? What extra is happening in your life? Be really specific about, so that every time you take on a piece of work, you're making that decision. So I might take on a bit of work and go, well, okay, this is I have a lot on right now, but I might have to work Saturday to get this done. But you know what? That will pay for the deposit of a holiday that's in my preferred or my ideal budget. So I'm going to do it in this instant, but I'm not going to work every weekend. So it's just being really bold about your specifics and making your finance and your money and your budget and your goals and your business an absolute fluid part of your life. It's
and
not
is that what you mean when you say your bountiful habits? So your day-to-day practices are to fulfill those specifics. Is that what you're talking about there?
Yeah. So, well, one is taking charge, surrounding yourself with people who are also building and doing that kind of thing, asking for help when you need it. Mm-hmm. But that habit is really, and I've learned that, and Leo have been brilliant for me over the years, and I've done loads of little workshops and stuff just to boost myself up. I have a thing, being really intentional. So that's the biggest thing about habits. So I have a thing, because I could write content. I'm a writer, so I could write content till the cows come home. That's my happy comfort zone place. I know for a lot of people, content is the worst thing. I love it. So I have a little note in my workbook every day, and it's MAM. And it's make actual money. So every single day, I've got to do something that makes actual money, because I could spend a week doing content for Instagram, but I'm not selling any of my online courses or doing anything like that. So making actual money every day. having a weekly budget meeting with yourself. This is one of the most important things that I do. Have a weekly budget meeting. It's in my diary as a meeting, as tangible as this one. And I show up every single week at the same time and look at my budgets, look what's coming in, look what's going out. And getting into that habit of just money is a positive flowing thing and I'm in charge of it. And it's not this sort of thing over here that I'll maybe check at the end of the month and hope to God it all clicks together. You know, being consistent. So having that weekly check-in. Are you leaving money on the table? Do you have proper routines for following up invoices? Being, you know, opportunities, all that kind of stuff. Are you closing sales? So when somebody comes in and shows interest, and then you're a bit, oh God, I don't want to be too pushy, you know, and following through it all the time and being really intentional and habitual about understanding that money coming in. And that's why that goal specific is so important, because once you see what you're attaining with it, once you've got your required, your preferred and your ideal, everything you do is about hitting those targets and they're tangible, and you're completely combining your business life with your personal goals, your personal budget goals. And then money becomes something that you're in front of, you're in charge of it, you're directing it, you're not behind chasing it going, come back, you know, which I'm sure.
It's really interesting because I have a list in front of me here that I'm kind of working from, and it talks about your beliefs, which you address, and then specifics, which puts things into very real terms, and then forming habits around that. And those habits then drive particular actions, which would be kind of subsets almost of the habits. Well, if that makes sense, to try and just literally make sure that you're not obsessed by money, but you are behaving in a way that will generate the cash flow that you need to live the life that you have to live and want to live.
It's about being really intentional. And the bolstering action, which is the next B, is it's more than just taking action on your habits. It's actually taking bold steps to help you get into that zone of asking or changing money. So, you know, don't wait for permission. You know, don't wait for someone to tell you it's perfect, it's great, you've got the logo right, you've got this thing. Just go for it and you'll improve as you go. Set your prices. Oh, maybe get time to do that. Oh, we might not have time. Set your prices and then stick to them. Don't be negotiating with every client. Put them on the website, get them out of the way if you've got a confidence issue about that, you know, and just set them, do all the work to set them, do all the work, ask, make sure you've got all that kind of thing. Commit, tell people in advance what you want to earn or what you're trying to sell. Join groups like this. I'm part of the accountability group with the Leah Women in Business. So every month we set goals publicly to each other, and then every month we go back and we talk about them. Pre-sell products and stuff just to make sure you bloody do it, you know. I'm just about to finish my second book and I'm going to start pre-selling it because it'll force me to finish it. You know, put your weekly budget meeting with yourself in the garden. You know, it's about always taking charge, making everything a reality, you know, being really proactive. And even if you don't feel it, you know, it is about just understanding that if I take this action, it will actually spur me on and motivate me further, type thing. And then the final one out of those 5 Bs is to be open. And this might sound a bit woo-woo, but it is about being really understanding of what's coming in, what opportunities are coming in. You know, going back to your relationship with money. Are you somebody, for example, who deflects compliments? Well, you might also then be the person who deflects opportunities coming in. So when I did all this money mindset work with myself, I realized that because of my scarcity mindset from childhood, where I was afraid people would think we didn't have any money, I'm the person who pays for everything. Go out for coffee, go out for lunch, go out for dinner. I'm the first in there to pay in case anybody would think I didn't have any money.
So you're the original Mrs. Doyle.
Yeah. So but you know, that mindset, as opposed to ever so often sitting back and go, well, actually, I'll take my turn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that being open, and, you know, I'll give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, I was so focused on some coaching because I was launching a new online course, and I was focused on all my coaching. And I was starting to get irritated because completely out of the blue, I got 2 new copywriting clients. Brilliant jobs, fantastic, really big charities, all that stuff. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I'm focused on my coaching. And I had to catch myself on and go, this is the money. This is the making actual money piece today. stop writing content and make the actual money. So that's a big one to me. Every day I write down MAM, and be aware that where's the money coming in. Grants, grants, applications, insurance, all of those things, don't leave them sitting, because they're all
sure. There's a wonderful question came in from Trish actually here. She says she's newly self-employed, and she said, what can all of us do to focus on success as opposed to failure?
Get in front of it and be really clear what you're trying to achieve, and being really clear about why you're doing what you're doing. And I mean, the one thing I know about entrepreneurs in the group is that, we're not out there making widgets with no interest in widgets. We're a lot of people have set up businesses, especially women, because they're either second careers, they're passion projects, they are creative solutions to lifestyle. We're doing it because we love it and we want it, but we can get really bogged down in the fear, the imposter syndrome, the mechanics of the business. So, keep your motivation front and center. And if it's a person you're helping, if it's keep those things, really remind yourself daily. If you were in a big company, you look at all these big companies and they will regularly have those sort of team boosting, team building, what's our vision, mission sort of things. You've got to do that for yourself when you work alone. You've got to just remind yourself constantly. So nearly like you have your budget meeting with yourself once a week. And I really recommend you do that. Literally put it in your Google Calendar, Tuesday at 10 o'clock every morning. That's my budget meeting. And as part of that budget meeting, go back and have written to yourself, why am I doing this? Remind yourself why. What's the end result for somebody else at the end of this, as well as linking it to your things. And just, success. Well, first of all, there's no success without failure. And I don't think there's any business people who haven't taken a slightly wrong turn or done things. So I don't think failure is to be feared per se, but it's about knowing what success looks and feels like. And it goes back to that definition of success. So how do you focus on success? You define it.
Brilliant. And could I just finish off with asking if I could apologize to everyone, a self-indulgent question, but I think it might be relevant to some people out there. I have a 12-year-old daughter. Is there anything I can do as a parent so that my 12-year-old daughter doesn't have, has the appropriate mindset to money as she goes through her teenage years and into her adult life and so on?
Love that. That's great, because I have 3 daughters. And yes. Well, it's always that balance, isn't it? Because you want your children to actually appreciate the value of money while we hand the money out left, right, and center to them. But yes, so budgeting from a very early age. So all my girls from the ages of 12 got a bank account, and then I give them their pocket money, their lunch money, their bus money, and they have to budget that. And I've said to them, if you've run out by week 3, you're walking to school every day. Learning that actually, if you spend all your budget in Topshop, there's no lunch. You're going to have to make your own lunch. So just getting them used to that. And then, anything above that, earning it. How might you earn it? Can you clean the car? Can you do whatever else? Get them to understand that that their output can bring money in. They have the capacity to earn money. They have the capacity to budget money, giving them that confidence. And also, I think it's really important, and it's hard, is helping your children realize a money goal. So so my daughter recently wanted an Xbox, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to pay for half of it because we're in lockdown and everything else, but you're going to have to pay for the rest of it. And she had to make tough decisions around where she was going to spend money and what she wasn't going to do. But the delight when that came through the door, because she had contributed to it. And I remember as a 15-year-old, I've worked since I was 15 and, in a Saturday job, and learning the value of saving and working towards something and making really good choices about your money spending, and letting them make mistakes, letting her make the mistake of spending all her pocket money and then going, oh no, I've none left to buy the thing I really want now. And not giving in.
Tough love. Don't worry, I'm no problem with the tough love. A question came in from Elaine there. Have you any advice on, it's totally different tack to what we were just talking about there, but have you any advice on offering discounts to regular customers, and if it's a good idea, and how would you do price points and so on?
Yeah, so pricing and costing is really important. And the first thing is there's two aspects to it. There's facts and there's fear. So the facts are, do all the work that is absolutely needed to price your work as well as you can, be that it's consultancy work, a product, whatever it might be. You know, ask people, look around. It's very different now. Nobody likes talking about money in this country. When I started out as a copywriter, it was a nightmare trying to figure out how I could price my work. And I actually went to a guy who was in a big agency, and I knew, and I said, look, I don't suppose I'm not at your level, so I'm not going to be stealing your fees, but can you just tell me how you price your work? And he said, well, first of all, you're not at the bottom layer either, because you have 15 years experience. So even though you're sitting at your kitchen table, your price is still up, you know. So he's up here, I was sort of down here. He said, no, you're up here. Because so understanding what your price market is. And often, you know, price is based on sort of two of three aspects: speed, quality, and price. Decide what you are. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for giving a good price. So I can give a good price, for example, because I don't have any overheads. So, but you make that your selling point. So, you know, can you deliver well and fast? Is speed your thing? Is it quality? Is it price? And be really as confident as you can about that. And then the fear piece is get rid of as quickly, as much as you can, by when you've done the factual piece. And again, remember this, the price is about the impact. It's not about you. It's the price is about the impact, not about you. Set your prices, and then the fear goes. And if you don't, you know, put the price in your introductory email or on your website, so that the conversation you have with the client is about the impact. It's not about the price. You're not waiting to get to the end of the conversation to have the conversation around money. You're getting it out in front. And you know, the biggest thing to remember is, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's okay if some people walk away. And if everyone's walking away, you've probably priced wrong. And if everyone is saying yes, you've possibly priced wrong. So understand that, you know, somebody not taking your product is not a failure on your part. It just means it wasn't right for them.
I saw a lovely quote. You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but you're definitely someone's absinthe. So I guess maybe look at that mindset. I'm afraid time has got the better of us, Alana. Love to chat all day, but we need to move on to the networking part of this morning's session. So just to say, huge thank you for all those wonderful, brilliant ideas and making and encouraging us to think the right way about money and budget and where we see ourselves with regards to our money.
Can I just quickly answer that question, though, that about give your discounts? Yes, if it fits in with your budget. If you've done your 3 budgets, you know what you need to bring in. If you can bring in those budgets by giving them a loyalty discount, do it if you think it'll have longer value. Otherwise, don't.
That's it, folks. We're done for another week. Just to say, I hope you enjoyed your virtual coffee break this morning. Lots of really interesting topics covered. Huge thanks to Alana Kirk for being part of today and making it so special. Thanks to John for facilitating this in Local Enterprise Office in Kildare. It's been an absolute joy. It's a lovely sunny day out there. So go out and enjoy it, folks. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks a million.